In a small town of Gori, Georgia, a frail boy named Ioseb Dugashvili was born in 1878. His father was a violent drunkard, his mother a deeply religious woman who dreamt of her son becoming a priest. But life had other plans. Poverty and abuse shaped his early years, carving out a hardened soul. He found solace in books, especially about revolution and rebellion. Little did anyone know, this weak child would grow into one of the most feared rulers in history. As a teenager, Ioseb abandoned religion and embraced revolution. Inspired by Marxist ideology, he joined underground groups fighting against the Russian Empire. He chose a new name for himself, Koba, after a Georgian folk hero known for rebellion and vengeance. Koba was cunning, ruthless, and determined. He robbed banks to fund the revolution, orchestrated strikes, and spread propaganda. The legend of Koba began to spread across the revolutionary underground. In 1905, Stalin met Vladimir Lenin for the first time. Lenin saw in him a man of iron discipline, someone who could be relied upon. Stalin admired Lenin like a disciple admires a master. From that point, his loyalty to Lenin was unshakable. While others spoke, Stalin acted. He organized strikes, commanded loyalty, and proved himself as Lenin's trusted enforcer. His rise within the Bolshevik ranks was unstoppable. 1917. The Russian Empire collapsed and chaos reigned. Lenin and his Bolsheviks seized the moment, storming the Winter Palace and toppling the provisional government. Stalin played his role silently but effectively, ensuring Bolshevik control in key regions. While Lenin's speeches stirred the crowds, Stalin's actions solidified the revolution's power. Behind the scenes, he was building the foundation of his future empire. The revolution sparked a brutal civil war between the Reds and the Whites. Stalin became known for his ruthless tactics. In Tsaritsyn, he executed anyone suspected of being a traitor. His methods were brutal but effective, ensuring victory at any cost. The Soviet Union was born in blood, and Stalin had shown the world that he was not a man to be underestimated. 1924. Lenin, the father of the revolution, died. A power struggle erupted among his successors. Trotsky was charismatic and intelligent, but Stalin was cunning and patient. He carefully positioned himself as Lenin's true heir, suppressing Trotsky and manipulating his allies. By playing his enemies against one another, Stalin slowly emerged as the new leader of the Soviet Union. By the late 1920s, Stalin had crushed his rivals and declared himself the supreme leader. He abolished dissent with an iron fist. His portraits began appearing everywhere, in schools, factories, and city streets. He was no longer just Stalin, he was the Vozhd, the leader. A cult of personality began, where questioning Stalin meant questioning the revolution itself. Stalin launched ambitious five-year plans to transform the Soviet Union into an industrial superpower. Gigantic factories were built, railroads expanded, and cities modernized. But the cost was enormous. Millions of peasants were forced into collective farms, stripped of their land. Resistance was crushed mercilessly. While industrial output grew, famine and suffering spread across the countryside. In Ukraine, forced collectivization led to the Holodomor, a famine that killed millions. Grain was seized for the state while people starved in their homes. Families ate grass, bark, and even each other to survive. Stalin denied the famine existed, branding anyone who spoke of it as an enemy of the people. The Soviet Union was industrializing, but at the price of human lives. By the 1930s, Stalin had become paranoid of threats to his power. He launched the Great Purge, a campaign of terror. Generals, intellectuals, and even loyal communists were accused of treason. Show trials filled with false confessions ended in executions. The sound of midnight knocks on doors became a nightmare for millions. Fear ruled the Soviet Union. Those who weren't executed were sent to gulags, brutal labor camps in Siberia. Prisoners chopped wood in freezing temperatures, built railroads with bare hands, and starved slowly in chains. Millions perished in these frozen hells. Stalin's empire was built on the bones of its own people. While terror ruled behind the scenes, propaganda glorified Stalin as the father of the nation. Posters showed him as a loving leader, leading children by the hand. Films and newspapers praised him as a genius. The contrast between reality and propaganda was chilling. A nation brainwashed into worshiping the very man who crushed it. 1939 shocked the world. Stalin signed a pact with Adolf Hitler, dividing Eastern Europe between the two dictators. Secretly, Stalin hoped to buy time to prepare for war. But this alliance with the devil would not last long. The seeds of betrayal were already sown. 1941. Hitler broke the pact and launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest invasion in history. Millions of German troops stormed into Soviet territory. Stalin was caught off guard. Cities burned, soldiers died by the millions, and the Soviet Union seemed on the brink of collapse. For a moment, even Stalin's iron grip trembled. The turning point came at Stalingrad. Stalin gave a single order: not a step back. Soviet soldiers fought house to house, refusing to surrender. The winter froze the German army, while Soviet reinforcements surrounded them. The victory at Stalingrad broke Hitler's back. Stalin had saved his empire, and now the Red Army was marching west. By 1945, Stalin stood as one of the most powerful men on earth. At Yalta, he sat alongside Roosevelt and Churchill, dividing the post-war world. The Iron Curtain was being drawn across Europe. Stalin smiled, knowing the Soviet Union was now a superpower. The world was entering the Cold War. After the war, Stalin expanded Soviet influence across Eastern Europe. Nations like Poland, Hungary, and East Germany fell under communist control. The Red Army was not just an army. It was the tool of empire. Stalin had created a Soviet world order that would last for decades. In his final years, Stalin grew even more paranoid. He distrusted his own doctors, fearing conspiracies everywhere. He distanced himself from old comrades and ruled with silence and suspicion. Age did not soften him. If anything, his cruelty deepened. The people lived in fear of his very gaze. March 1953, Stalin collapsed after a stroke. His guards hesitated, too afraid to enter his room without orders. Hours passed before anyone dared to help. By then, it was too late. The man who had controlled millions of lives with an iron fist died helpless and alone. Stalin's death ended an era, but his shadow loomed large. He had transformed a backward nation into a superpower, defeated Hitler, and carved a place in history. But his legacy was also one of terror. Millions dead, millions broken. To this day, Joseph Stalin remains one of history's most terrifying figures, remembered as both a savior and a monster. If this story of Stalin's rise and power fascinated you, then don't stop here. History is full of leaders who changed the world in ways both inspiring and terrifying. Subscribe now so you never miss another untold story of power, ambition, and destiny. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and share it with someone who loves history as much as you do. Your support helps us bring more incredible stories to life. The past is never just the past. It's the key to understanding our future. Stay tuned for the next legend of history.